Jesus threw a party. He was about to die. He knew he was about to die. And he threw a party for it. A grand parade, a riotous street festival, whipping the city into a frenzy of excitement. He did that intentionally. Pre-ordered the donkey, made preparations with the disciples, got folks to spread the news. Jesus did this, knowing the whole time that he was parading towards his death. He let the crowds celebrate his arrival as if they were welcoming the emperor, knowing that the same crowds would later shout, "Crucify." Jesus didn't need to be God to know that the threat of death was very close. And yet it didn't stop him from throwing a party. He let them think that they were welcoming a king, knowing that this would cause problems. He let them get excited, knowing how much they would later be crushed. I don't know how I feel about that. It's a bit misleading, isn't it? A little unfair to get everyone's hopes up when they are just going to get disappointed later. Think about it from the perspective of the crowds. This is a people who have been living under occupation by a foreign power. As with any colonial occupation, there are a lot of atrocities attached, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. Generations have struggled under this Roman rule. They have been taxed beyond their means. They have no control or autonomy. Even their religion exists under the scrutiny of Rome, subject to Roman interference and regulations. The people are in pain. They cry out to God for deliverance. Save us. They long for freedom and pray every day for a Messiah to come. They need a new King David who's going to ride in, take over Jerusalem, and spark a revolution. Others have tried. There were multiple rebellions, and each time the fist of Rome squeezed tighter. These are people who desperately needed to be saved. And this is why they wave palm branches and are so overwhelmingly excited. They think Jesus is marching in to liberate them from occupation, literally. Jesus knows this. He let them get their hopes up. He let them taste the excitement of that moment, as if taking a tiny sip from the cup of freedom, knowing the whole time that that cup would be snatched away, that Rome would stomp down their rebellious hopes, that they would soon be lost in despair. That's painful. It's reckless. Like a political leader calling victory when the war has only just started. I'd call it even irresponsible. You are entrusted with people's hearts, their hopes and dreams. That is a precious thing. How can you let them wave palm branches when you can see the wave of grief about to wash over them like a tsunami? Better to walk into Jerusalem quietly. Enter at night and hush those who would draw attention to you. Don't make a big scene if you're going to disappoint everyone. I bet they felt pretty foolish about all those palm branches come Good Friday. This happens a lot in life. And it's something that I personally get angry at God about. God lets us get excited about something, only then to take it away. And we're left feeling foolish for getting excited in the first place. One day we are praising God, rejoicing in the day, and then all of you have been through a breakup or a divorce, whether you're 13 or 46, know how this feels. You fall in love and it's so exciting. This person is without doubt a gift from God and you're so thankful and happy. But then it doesn't last and you are devastated. You wonder, why did God let you fall in love in the first place? Surely it would have been better and easier if you never met this person at all. Now you feel foolish about all the romantic pictures you took with this person and the way that you boasted about them to everyone else. The ways you were shouting Hosanna. Why would God allow this to happen? Why didn't God stop it before it began? This same phenomenon happens with anything you fall in love with whether it's a person or a job or even a church community. You think you have found something wonderful, you get all excited about it, and then disappointment comes crashing in. You break up, or you're fired, or you find out that your church isn't as perfect as you thought. At one point you were waving palm branches of enthusiasm, and then your heart is crushed. I think of the new church communities that we tried planting here in Edmonton. We had several new churches. One started out in Spruce Grove, another in North Edmonton. There were also plans for a church in Beaumont at one point, an ecumenical shared ministry in the Windermere area of Edmonton. Just so much excitement, such potential, some wonderful dreams, clearly planted by God. God had a hand in starting those things. I'm certain of that. But all of them failed, closed. I was part of that, and it was devastating. Were we foolish to get excited? Should we have done better research? Why did God start those communities if they weren't going to last? Or I think of all those newcomers to Alberta that I'm friends with, especially those who have moved here from other countries. They read and research all about Canada. They get really excited to come here. Maybe they arrive in July and it's beautiful and wonderful. But then winter hits and it keeps on hitting. January, February, March, soon April. The reality of this new country, this new place, this new culture, this new weather hits hard, and it's a shock. The excitement crashes and they can feel deflated, foolish, almost embarrassed. And I'm sure it raises a lot of questions for those of faith. Why did God bring me here? Why did God make them so excited about it in the first place? We all know these feelings, don't we? Each one of us has got excited about something that was later taken away. It's the story of every broken heart. And I wouldn't blame you for being angry at God. Why would God raise hopes if those hopes are going to be dashed? Why pull out the palm branches if they're going to be turned into crosses? Imagine for a moment that you're holding a palm branch. Imagine feeling it in your hand. Think back to the times when you were excited about something, so excited that waving a palm branch in the air would not have felt strange. I pray that your life has had nothing but success. However, it's not life if some of those initial successes didn't end in disappointment. When the thing you were once thrilled by turns ugly, the weight of that palm branch droops. You feel foolish for having lifted it up in the first place. Maybe part of you is embarrassed. But don't drop that palm branch. Let's just sit with it for a moment. This is a palm of excitement that you once waved around for the world to see. It didn't work out the way you wished. But if you could go back in time, if you could talk to the person that you were back then, back when you were excitedly shouting Hosanna, would you take the palm branch away? If you could, would you tell that younger version of you not to get excited, not to get hopeful? Would you take away their dreams? You, the older version of you, know what pain is going to come. But you also know how happy you once were. To avoid the sorrow, would you strip away the joy? Would you stomp down any sparks of love? Would you rain on your own parade? You have now in your hand a palm branch of that past moment. Would you keep it away from your younger self? Or would you give it back to them and let them wave it around in blissful foolishness? I hope we can be gentle and compassionate with ourselves. When we look back at those things that didn't work out, I pray we can look at ourselves with kindness. You waved a palm because you were excited, and that is wonderful. Nothing wrong with that. You were filled with hope, with a dream that God gave you, and it was good. God blessed you with a parade of joys, and it was your responsibility to celebrate that. It's true that the parade didn't end where you thought it would. That isn't anything to feel embarrassed about. The parade itself was still wonderful. It was still a blessing in and of itself. And it has become a part of you that God helped create. Who would you be today if you didn't go through those things? Would you still be the same person that you are now? If there wasn't a Palm Sunday, would there be a Good Friday? Without Good Friday, would there be an Easter? Things often don't work out the way we planned, but it doesn't mean it's not part of God's plan. God is still at work. The story of you is not done yet. God uses all those moments in life to bring about good and wonderful things in you and the people around you. Maybe, like the prodigal son, you return home embarrassed. But God welcomes you joyfully, and your story will become a message of hope for everyone around you. Maybe those churches we planted didn't flourish, but they still did amazingly good work, inspiring others and blessing God's people. That's what God cares about, after all. God doesn't care about church buildings. God cares about how those buildings bless others. Maybe your job or your relationships or future plans didn't turn out the way you wanted, but they were still a blessing to you in those moments. And you were a blessing to others. Good things happened. Good reasons to wave a palm branch happened. That's nothing to be ashamed about. Jesus let the crowds wave their branches. He encouraged it. Let them have this moment. You know what happens next in the story, but you also know what happens after that. It's not going to go the way the crowds want, but ultimately, it ends up even better. Let them have this moment of revelry. It is a blessing in itself. For although they don't know it yet, He has come to save them. He has come to set them free. So let them shout Hosanna and rejoice, for if you try to stop it, even the stones themselves would shout out. Hosanna. Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna.